Now we're doing a science. I unmuted the microphone.
Now we're doing a science. She unmuted the microphone. I'm a professional.
Totes profesh.
Totes profesh.
Hopefully that's better. Hopefully that's better.
At the moment, we are recording no dropped frames at all. 3 minutes ago, we were getting within sight of 50% dropped frames.
All right, I'm about to do something very cognitively dissident. I'm apologizing. I'm about to turn on the other camera, but I won't be sitting at the desk, so hang on just a second, okay, folks?
What if you are?
Schrodinger's Marguerite.
Okay. Hot.
Now look, you can see the pile of crap that I sit in front of. Hang on a second. My headset is good now. Your desk mic is good now. Okay. I think we might be good. Let's go back to the opening one. Ow! Crap, I just stepped on your chair.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. Where were we?
Nate, and this is not a match of difficulty thing.
Do you want to start it over?
I'll start it over. It's only a couple of paragraphs. I've been really into assassinations recently. It started with the Dishonored series, which I impulse bought after Alice B and Matthew off of the podcast tempted me into it with the promise of Wales. It was a good decision. I've been having a grand old time in Dunwall, mincing ruffians, braining accordion-wielding secret police, and eating rats like kebabs.
Was that Wales the country or Wales the
animals?
You say.
It's spelled animals, but Corvo was only a gateway drug. Alice made the call last week to move me on to the hard stuff, furnishing me with a copy of Hitman 3 and Crikey, which is a full-on octave-busting Beano tier crikey. Is it ever fun?
Was that your best, crikey?
No.
But you don't want to do it again, do you?
You want me to do my best?
I think you should.
Crikey!
That's much better.
I did warn you.
You did.
Yes. In all the years I've spent not playing Hitman, I'd assumed the games were dour, stealth-focused garnishment simulators with little to distinguish them. But they are not. As Brendy said in his review, each level in Hitman 3 is a clockwork murder toy, a world running to its own rules which you are free to interfere with. They each have a start, a bald bloke shows up in a place, and a finish, the bald bloke leaving the place once his target's in Edos, but they leave everything in between down to the player's whim. The feeling of freedom is exhilarating, but what's cranked it up still further for me has been my decision to play without saving at all. This is not a macho difficulty thing. Indeed, I've only just started playing missions on the regular difficulty setting, as it's taken me a while to get an instinct for exactly how much bullshit NPCs will let me get away with. No, this was purely a decision aimed at letting me have more fun, and despite my initial doubts that the experiment would work, it's something I'd recommend to anybody. No saving, obviously, means starting over from the beginning. A lot. I am someone who hates repetition, so you would think I might hate this. On the contrary, however, I found not saving and hating repetition are two tastes that go together extremely well in Hitman. When I'm binned by an AK-toting bodyguard after an attempt to steal his mate's clothes goes horribly wrong, I'd be keen to try out an entirely fresh approach on restart. This leads me to discovering so many more possibilities than I would have come across by continually loading back to the moment before crucial trouser nabbings and lackey garottings. Indeed, it generates a far lesser sense of repetition. Rather than trying to painstakingly curate and perfect a single timeline, like Tom Cruise in that one movie where he gets stuck in a horrible D-Day battle with metal squids, I'm waltzing through alternate realities where I'm a prisoner, I'm a rogue gunman, I'm just someone who loves dressing up. Admittedly, this approach leads to yet more mission failures. As a Hitman virgin, I'm trying pretty much everything for the first time, with little gut feeling for what works and what does not. But as physicist Niels Bohr famously said, an expert is only someone who has made every conceivable mistake in their field. Each busted run teaches me something, and I get a wonderful feeling when a minor success in a prior fiasco confers some small advantage to my present run. Wait, isn't there a janitor's uniform in that cupboard? Lucky I knew about that man-sized bin just around the corner. Watch out, fuckers. I know the location of everything. Watch out, fuckers. I know the location of every axe within a square mile of this spot. And there's a photo here which has the caption, what happens if I throw this banana at the feet of a security guard? Will he slip on it? No, he'll stride forward and monster me. But now I know. There's another way, too, in which this style of play shows me more of the game than I might otherwise see. In Dishonored, I ended up so fixated on playing with a fastidious attitude towards remaining hidden at all times and on not murdering anyone that I never let anything go wrong. I lost count of the amount of times I battered the escape key right as a watchman was in the process of blurting a hurried, "What the fuck?" at the sad-faced skeleton man who had just plundered into him during a failed chokeout. Forsaking this attitude in Hitman has, apart from anything else, meant that successful stealth actions make me feel like a proper lord, rather than a bored god with the ability to rewind time. Better yet, it means I have to live with the consequences of my cock-ups and improvise. I have to hide in bins, hurriedly formulate backup plans, clown my way through frantic escalating gunfights. It's well good. It gives me even more of a broad taste of what the game has to offer. And there's another photo here which has the glorious caption, "Lock and load, someone killed the boss and they're still in the area. That means you, crouching dead-eyed stranger holding a banana." In the Dubai level, for example, I played a stealthy old game indeed, creeping about like a panther in a velvet robe, under guise as a security man and quietly fucking things up. But then, just as I was contemplating shorting out the electrics for an art installation, one of my targets blundered right past the cupboard I was lurking in. In my hand was a hammer. On my screen was the "press Q to batter him" button. It was love at first sight. There is a moment shortly before this of Nate poised mid-batterage, which he has captured simply.
I just keep incrementing the counter when you can't breathe.
Living for the moment. Needless to say, this moment of passion led to an absolute Coen Brothers of a situation, as I sent 47 capering through every corridor going, pursued by elite goons, till he eventually cornered one of said goons.
I love it when he's laughing so hard, just reading the sentence ahead, and we just all brace for what's going to happen.
Introduced him to the works of MC Hammer and nicked his elite war trousers.
I heard the phrases MC Hammer and Elite War Trousers, but I'm going to make him read the sentence again.
Needless to say, this moment of passion led to an absolute Coen Brothers of a situation, as I sent 47 capering through every corridor going, pursued by elite goons, till he eventually cornered one of said goons, introduced him to the works of MC Hammer, and nicked his elite war trousers. I sauntered out of the crime scene and was immediately complimented on my appearance by one of the dead man's comrades. With my new disguise, I can now access the more secure areas on the level. As such, would you believe that ended up being my first successful run on the mission, despite my plans having gone entirely to piss? Reflecting after my victory, I realised something fascinating about the way I was tackling problems. Playing without the safety net of a save function was somehow making me less risk-averse. I had lost all fear of death, of failure and of non-optimal solutions, becoming the very definition of a have-a-go hero. There's another still here. Having gotten to within just a few feet of my final target, I was unable to take the tension and mash the mouse to fire, but in my excitement I had forgotten I wasn't holding a gun, and instead wellied a banana right at his head. I've been having a right old time. I hadn't realised how little I enjoyed my brain's constant internal mutter of, "When did you last save, though?" or the immersion-dampening syncopation of an otherwise thrilling adventure with frequent trips to menu screens. The sense of freedom at the start of levels feels more intense now, and so does everything that comes after. When I beast a man, drag him into a bush, and wander into a fortress full of bastards wearing his clothes, I feel the excitement of being 14 and strolling into a shit pub past the steely eyes of doormen. I know I'll get chucked out before long, sure, but just how shit-faced can I get before that happens? God bless you, Nate. You magnificent human being.
What's the score on the screen, Alistair?
Apparently 36 corpses on that one.
Yep.
Wow.
I do believe that may be our new all-time record.
By some considerable distance.
Yeah, and Stream, I agree with you completely. I think Nate is writing them intentionally to try and make Alistair corpse now.
Bless him. Oh my god. Right. Hi. Welcome to the show. How's everybody doing? Two things before we proceed. Firstly, this is a no Magnus spoilers zone. And that's for Perpetually, the episode which was released last week to Patreons, which will kick down to everybody else shortly.
Tomorrow, we get the episode tomorrow.
We have a month to go, folks. A month. Hold.
I can't make the button go away.
It's okay.
It's reset on me again.
It's alright. It's fine. We've got this. So yeah, no Magnus spoilers, please. You're all lovely people. I'm sure you would never do that anyway. And also, it's time to discuss the boy, the yeasty lad.
The yeasty lad.
The beast from the yeast.
What's he wearing today? He's old school, isn't he?
Old schooling a hat.
Yeah, that's because he got fed today.
And it's also perhaps worth pointing out that we're going to have a little discussion after we finish this up as to one of the things we might be going on to, which the hat is relevant to. Look at her face. Look at her total lack of poker face.
Total lack of poker face, yeah. So since this is going to be the last installment of Mark on the Red Granny, assuming we start reading it sometime in the next hour or so, we have to have a chat about what's next. And a candidate has presented itself, shall we
Should we do it now? Let's do it now.
Okay, let's do it now. Go ahead. All right. So, I got to read another one of T. Kingfisher / Ursula Vernon's books. And this one is a kissing book, to put it, well, mildly. It's a romance book. And it's about paladins, and it's wonderful, and it's very sweet, and it would, drive the corpse count through the roof if we did it on stream. So I think I'm going to talk to Ursula and see if that might be a possibility. So please don't get your hopes up yet. I haven't even asked her.
Chapter 42, Wendy.
Shut up. You're going to make me blush on screen. That's not polite.
She used a very different word indeed.
Yes.
Wow.
No, to be fair, Ursula used a very different word describing the sequel, which comes out on Sunday. So that's what I'll be doing on Sunday. Yes. But this is also what I'm not allowed to... Stop it, you guys! I'm trying not to turn bright pink. Yes, it's wonderful, and there, like most romance novels, there's a main male character and there's a main female character, which is gender normative, but that's the way this particular book rolls. So there is the possibility of us maybe both reading it. We don't know. We're thinking about it. Regardless, the point I'm trying to get across while I'm not blushing on screen talking about the kissing book I just read, is it's time to start thinking about what we're going to be reading next.
Yes, indeed.
That was a very long and embarrassing way to do that. Thank you so much for that experience.
You're completely welcome.
I'm going to go eat my Pop-Tart now. Talk to the talent.
The talent is just looking at the chat going, ooh, joint reading. And everyone going, oh my god, yes, please do it.
Yes, it does in fact involve paladins. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if we can even get permission to do it in the first place. And if we can, then we will make it one of the choices available. How about that?
Yeah. And we are working on a couple of alternatives as well. Because, we know everyone has different tastes. And we don't take it personally if folks want to step out for one or two. That's fine.
That's fine.
It's all good. Follow your joy, everybody. So yeah, that's kind of where we are. What's new with Alistair this week? We won an award.
Yes, we did indeed.
It was the British Fantasy Awards this week, which were online because everything is online at the moment. And this is a holdover from last year. And I was up for an award for the full id. Well, actually, we were up for an award for the full id because Marguerite is credited as its editor now because she's amazing.
Sweet of you, yes.
And we also had Pseudopod and Podcastle up for Best Audio. And Podcastle won, which was fantastic because, oh my god, they knock it out of the park every single bloody week. So yeah, it was a super, super weird experience because I kind of got to see both sides of the coin. The, yay, victory, and the, I wanted this one too. One.
I
And
know, sweetie. I know.
it took a little while to process that, but I did kind of come out the other side of it going, was that good? You won a thing. It was good. Shut up. So, yes.
Well, there was something else that happened this week that you haven't put in the full lead leg because it's only Wednesday, so this is like a sneak peek.
What was it?
Have you forgotten what it was?
Yes.
Okay, hold on a second. I'm going to go back on camera then. So if you get access to Rusty Quill's Patreon announcements.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Oh, yeah. You probably heard about the main cast of The Inexplicables was announced. And The Inexplicables is a new Patreon exclusive Rusty Quill thing that is coming.
Basically, imminently.
I think it's designed to run after Magnus, so gulp, in a month or so. And so, yes, the main cast was announced. The whole cast wasn't announced. I'm just saying.
If you were to pay very close attention for some quite brief sections, you would hear some familiar voices in the background as well as in the main roles.
That's all we're going to say, really.
Yes. So that will be going on. To answer the chat going past, yes, being nominated is amazing, Beastrogen. And it's also very weird. Because it kind of challenges entirely but I really love what I do, but at the same time I kind of want to just do it thing. And it really focuses me on where I find my joy. So it's actually helpful and challenging at the same time. Also, someone said, are you going to do the other Venus Flytrap stories, which is the Dianea house?
That's a very good question.
And that had not occurred to me, but
we could do them here.
Yeah, specifically they said, are you going to do those with RQ or are you going to do them here?
That's a very good question. We should have a conversation with Mikey about that and see if he has any feedback. Because I hadn't thought about doing them here, but there's really no reason why we couldn't.
Michael Gorbachev and Ignacio Lebow.
Really? Are you going to play the middle name game now?
Yeah, I am.
What did you call him? Jorgen Alexander Leitner? It wasn't Jorgen Leitner. It was the other guy.
Jared Alexander Hopworth.
Jared Alexander Hopworth. That's correct. I think we've Alistair's just decided that Alexander's going to be everybody's middle name from now on. So,
Wendy, I promise you, you will not need to craft any more fly traps. It's fine. Don't worry.
By crafting herpes, do you mean glitter, or do you mean the fact that you stabbed yourself in the finger?
I'm hoping for glitter.
I'm very much on the horns of a dilemma for that one.
Alexander, Alexander.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly. Glitter.
Yeah, I mean, this, as Eldritch points out, if we can't kind of make some time with Mike, I'll just, show up 20 minutes early for his next kayaking lesson. We'll be fine. So yeah, that's what's new.
This just in: Wendy bleeds glitter. There we go.
Hello. 2 fingers when it's super serious. Should we do the story? Let's do the story.
I think we should do the story. Yes.
Content warnings: swearing, fatal hand-to-hand combat, exposure to vacuum, references to sexual assault, and the price, both financial and emotional and psychological, of art. Previously on Marco and the Red Granny.
Dong dong.
See, ever since Resident Alien started, I just hear Alan Tudyk going kang kang. An alien race called the Legion have arrived and set up camp on the moon. They are incredibly talented artists, and they're incredibly talented in a very, very unique way, in that they can combine media. And this isn't, rap metal. This.
Which was actually a thing. Alistair will play it at breakfast every once in a while. It's called Body Count. Who was involved? It was Ice, wasn't it?
Ice-T.
Oh my god.
65, still touring, got a new album out shortly. Bless him.
Legend. Absolute legend. Moving swiftly on.
This is, here is a meal that will remind you of watching ballet. Or here is a ballet that will remind you of your first true love, that kind of thing. It's the connection of emotion through art. I'm a fan of hip-hop metal too. And to do this, they operate a patronage system, where basically they bring artists from Earth and just pay them a ridiculous amount of money to create. And then they combine their art with other people's to create their own unique art. Marco, our hapless protagonist, because he is completely without hap, as the last 4 weeks have very much shown, is a comic writer and graphic novelist who basically threw a bit of a strop about all this. Didn't really like it very much. His girlfriend left to go to the moon. His agent left to go to the moon, and finally he realized that he would probably quite like money.
And food.
So he got himself a patronage with House Blue. This is odd, because House Blue don't tend to patronize artists. Their most well-known human artist is an artist of death, the Red Granny, who is a very small, very polite lady who is the reigning champion of the most dangerous game. Have you ever played an arena deathmatch in a video game? It's that, basically, but with real people and with increasingly creative and menacing handicaps applied to keep things interesting. The first time we see Heather, the Red Granny, play one of these games, her visor has been blacked out. And she gets around this by luring someone close enough to her to kill them, tear their helmet off, thus killing them some more, and attaching it to her suit, because all of this takes place in hard vacuum. It is basically the Hunger Games, but kind of more televised and slightly more up close and personal.
Marco has had a heck of a time.
He's just poor lamb. You know, you kind of want to give him a hug.
He's been through a lot. And the last time we saw him, he had confronted his ex in a bar. By the way, the Legion don't like alcohol.
Yes, and his ex is now a member of the Guild of Alcoholics, who celebrate the emotional and physical release of alcoholism as a means of true creativity, as opposed to creativity filtered through what the Legion like to call it. And he then went back to the Enclave where he works for House Blue, who then put him through this terrifying imprinting process again, which is just a total psychological violation. And he's now extremely unhappy. Or was, because he went to see the Red Granny and explained all of this, and she gave him a necklace that suddenly makes him feel fine. And that's where we pick things up. Sus. Well sus.
Light your shirt. It's a metaphor. You put the story in your shirt. Well done.
I'm tapping the shirt.
You're tapping the shirt?
Yeah.
Is that like when Happy would tap the badge? Hey.
Badges, people.
Badges, people.
Yeah.
Badges. Okay.
We'll do it live. The next week, Marco was kidnapped twice, both in the same day. He'd spent the time writing and illustrating, mostly in his room, but he remembered he liked the office too. Heather had shown him more of the Legion imbuing process. Fascinating stuff, actually. What had really interested him was when the Legion would imbue emotions within weaponry. Once we realized we could imbue emotions into sculpture, we wondered what would happen if we put despair into a knife blade, 13 had said. Something had clicked within Marco's head. The most dangerous game. That's how Heather got that last guy. She didn't kill him, she just made him not want to live. And he was so easy to finish off. This can make wars a thing of the past. The ultimate disarmament. Again, Marco felt that niggling feeling that something was wrong, but he couldn't replace it. The next day, he went to his office where Knowledge was waiting for him. He'd nearly forgotten about her. No, he had forgotten about her. How is that possible? He opened his mouth to greet her, but a bag was thrown over his head, and he felt himself lifted. He struggled, he flailed, but strong arms threw him into a chair and bound him with a rope. So it's true then, Knowledge's voice said. We suspected, but we weren't sure. What the fuck are you talking about? Let me go, Penelope. It's Knowledge now, Marco. And we've suspected for months that they were developing mind control. You proved it. What? Are you insane? He struggled in his chair and then went limp. What do you want from me? The bag was lifted, and he recognized the bartender, Defects, from the other evening. The other man was the one with the 12 on his neck. Spiritual awakening. The guild leader. Margot took a deep breath, letting the calm take over. Knowledge crossed her arms. Oh yeah? Why'd you never come back to the bar? Marco stopped. He had promised to return. He just hadn't thought about it. There'd been no urgency to do so. He felt fingers at his neck, and he looked up at Spiritual Awakening, who traced the leather ties of his necklace. Ah, the necklace. Deceptive. Not as fancy as their usual stuff. Hey, give that to me, he protested as Spiritual Awakening took out a knife. Marco winced as the cold knife slid down his neck, but the man sliced through his necklace and removed it, dropping it on the floor as if it were a tapeworm. Adrenaline flooded Marco, and he reeled from the shock of it. Holy shit! What's going on? Checking for other things, Spiritual Awakening said, handing the knife to Defects. Spiritual Awakening stepped around to where he faced Marco. The Legion started mixing the arts when they encountered humans. It was amazing, the small man said. But at some point, they discovered we had nostalgia attached to these senses, and more importantly, they could tap into them as easily as they could manipulate our senses. Whereas before they could weave a story into a dress or a song into a cake, now they can put the emotions and memories tied to those senses into things. They can make a song that will give you murderous rage, a bottle of wine that'll make you fall in love. For their own pet humans, they can create a necklace to make you calm and docile like a sheep, never thinking to turn against them. Why are they doing this? It's everyone's dream to get a patronage. Why would they need us docile? Knowledge grinned without humour. Marco, honey, you know that the patronage isn't what you hoped it would be. It starts with the artist mapping, continues with them marking your every movement, denying you alcohol, other controlling things. You're making a ton of money, I know. Tell me, what are you doing with it? Marco frowned. You didn't answer my question. This is why we're worried about the mind control, Spiritual Awakening said. They have some plan for the Earth, as the embargo against imported Legion clothing and food was just lifted. I mean, who knows what they're shipping home, right? Marco stared at him. He felt an almost audible click. They're a peaceful race with no army. This is how they take over. Spiritual Awakening nodded. It's how they enslave. So what do we do about it? Marco asked. That's what the guild's for, Spiritual Awakening said. The Legion hate alcohol because it dampens the effects of their influence. If you had a couple of shots and then put that collar back on, you would not feel its effects. Marco looked down at the necklace with distaste, and he looked at Knowledge in a panic. What do I do now? I mean, oh God, I can't put it back on, but I can't go back without it. We'll make one for you. They may not be able to tell the difference, since they can't feel our nostalgia the same way we do, Knowledge answered. Just stay here and work. We'll be back in an hour or so. Yeah, and then what? Marco said, panic flooding him again. He couldn't go back. Not now. Did Heather know? Was she in compliance with all of this? We'll come back with a plan to help you keep your cover. We need you on the inside. Will you work with the guild? Marco nodded. Looks like you don't have a choice, although I would likely trust you more if you perhaps untied me. The second kidnapping came soon after the guild had left, with Marco still ruminating on what he had learned and the kiss on the cheek Knowledge had left him. Marco sat at his desk, peering out over the bright city. He didn't hear his office door open. He did feel the strong tentacle planted over his face, felt the rag held to his mouth. He struggled, but he knew immediately he would be no match for 7 of House Blue. She was with him when he woke up. I'm disappointed in you, Marco. I thought we were close. Marco rubbed his head and looked around. He was in a room with no windows, slumped into a finely upholstered easy chair. Heather sat in the easy chair opposite him. Along the wall hung various environment suits. Some Legion made, some not. What did you do to me? He asked. 13 was worried about your allegiance when she learned you'd been consorting with the Alcoholics Guild, she said, frowning. 7 followed you to check out her fears. I defended you, but it was too late. Marco made a face. Who I hang out with also dictated in my contract. She was silent. Shortly, the Alcoholics Guild will be declared terrorists by the authorities here at Ride Base. Marco snorted. Could your grandfather my friends in, since I knew them before they were terrorists? Would that be okay? Why did you take this so lightly? You're in real trouble. You've already lost your patronage. You could be arrested for consorting with terrorists. The Legion are confused. They think you should be grateful. Grateful for being mind-raped twice without knowing what was going on. Grateful for having my emotions manipulated without my consent. My God, Heather, they pretty much removed my will. I was their sheep when I wore that necklace that you gave me. Heather was very still, and Marco remembered uncomfortably the speed she controlled, even in the light gravity. You think they do mind control and are here to hurt us? It wasn't real. I'm not a pet, I'm not a doll, sitting and smiling when someone wants me to sit and smile. So what if I'm depressive and resentful? If you remove that part of me, that's not making me better. What are they planning on doing with all this stuff they're sending to Earth? Are they going to control everyone back home? Is everyone going to be a sheep? Heather stood and walked over to him slowly. What if they are? People murder and rape, enslave, do horrible things. My village was massacred when I was a child. I don't want to tell you the things done to me or the things I was forced to do to survive. If the Legion are here to stop us living like animals, why shouldn't we support them in any way possible? Marco couldn't meet her eyes. But you're trading one animal for another. You don't want humans to be wolves, so you make them sheep. How is that better? She took his face in her hand and forced him to look at her. Do sheep murder? Do they beat and sell their children? Do they steal from their own kind? Or are they content? Marco tried to say something flippant like, I don't know, I never raised sheep. But he was all too aware of her fingers on his neck. No, he whispered. But do they create? Do they experience passion? Do they view the world in myriad ways because of their own inherent uniqueness? She stared into his eyes, and after a long, long time, she smiled. No, they don't. He spoke quickly before he could lose his nerve. What about you? You're talking about these murderers, but how many people have you killed? She let his chin go and stared at the suits on the wall. I am a peacekeeper. I will do what needs to be done to make the world a better place. I'm sure your victims in the arena are relieved by your better world. Marco, listen to me. We are not that dissimilar. We're just going about our paths in a different way. Oh, what path is that? Marco asked. Heather pointed her wrinkled hand at the door. That path. Outside here is the lunar environment and the most dangerous game stadium. The game starts in 2 hours. You're a contestant.
Best time significant tea ever.
Marco had never been a strong debater. Standing up to Heather had been perhaps the bravest thing he'd ever done. The problem was, he was out of courage, and now he was met with the knowledge that in 2 hours he was going to die. Oh, sure, he had a chance, but who was he fooling? He had been in a fight since 6th grade when he bumped into Pete Garrison in gym and the bully had decked him, and he'd gone down in a pile of confused, sobbing elbows and knees. He had no idea how to strategize or how to fight with a weapon, or how to fight with a weapon in 1/6 of Earth's gravity. He wondered about the possibility of getting Heather back to apologise and tell her that he was wrong to say anything to get out of what was about to happen. But a cold voice inside him reminded that even if he did get out of it, would that force him underground to join the guild? Or would it make him a faithful Legion lapdog, determined not to piss them off again? Did he want to work for a group that tossed you in the pit when you made them angry? The xenophobes on Earth were right. The aliens were about to take over, and there was nothing they could do about it. He wondered where knowledge and spiritual awakening and the others were. Had they gone back underground? Had they been caught? Did they know he had been caught? He realized he didn't know how much time had passed since Seven had abducted him. He swallowed. He was quite alone, and he was about to die. And there was no getting around it. He walked numbly to the suits on the wall, each one in a different state of environmental protection. One looked like an Earth-type suit that was essentially a suit of armour with a big bubble helmet. The others were lighter versions of the Legion-created suits that were tighter fitting with more subtle features. Marco shied away from the alien clothes, though, since he didn't know what emotions or stories they had been imbued with. So that left him with the bulky Earth suit. He didn't want that either. It didn't allow for a wide range of movement, but he had to choose the lesser of all evils. Not like the suit would make much of a difference when it came to it. After struggling into it and figuring out the controls, Marco looked around for a weapon. Nothing. Great. Make the weak artist boy learn low-gravity kung fu during a fight to the death. That ought to cause a good amount of laughter back home. He sighed in frustration as the door opened, and Heather entered the room again. She carried two things, a long staff and a short knife. What interested him more was that she was in the same suit he'd seen when he watched her fight 2 weeks ago. Staff, knife. These are your weapons. So this is how it's really going to go, huh? Marco said, his throat dry. Did the Legion make that knife? She focused on him quickly, her face inscrutable. When you hold a Legion weapon, it is your opponent who must worry, not you. Marco took the knife and peered at it. It was a plain, straight knife in a sheath designed to strap around his massively padded thigh. What does it do? I don't know. That's your handicap. It could cause the opponent to become despondent or aroused or lose the will to live. Or it could enrage them and turn them into a killing machine. Oh, that's great, Marco said. And the stick? She frowned. It's a staff, Marco, and one of my personal collection. It's rattan, bendable, very durable. Think of it like a big pencil. He collapsed into a chair. I don't know why you're telling me this, I'm going to die out there. Horribly. And like you said, there's nothing I can do about it. And does that make you change your mind? Marco smiled ruefully. If you'd asked me about that an hour ago, I might have said yes. But life can't be much better than death in this case. Where would I go from here? Best that it ends right now. She looked at him for a moment, a small smile gracing her face. It's just as you say, Marco. Good luck out there. I've always admired you, I've been a gladiator among artists. Never was any good at drawing. Heather? She paused at the door. Am I going to have to fight you? She laughed. Oh no, Marco. I'm someone else's handicap entirely. Marco had nothing but the wall to look at. He thought about slashing up the chairs with his knife, but figured that was pretty childish. A part of his brain suggested he kill himself before he died in front of billions, but he resisted. Some small survival instinct insisted he had a tiny chance to make it through this. He looked at the knife again, taking it from his sheath. It wasn't even pretty. Had no ornate designs or curlicues. It was just a knife. Heather could have been lying about its extra abilities, of course. He would like to know what the Legion modification was. It would come in handy. He thumbed the blade experimentally, testing the edge. It was very sharp, and the skin on his thumb split. Just the first few layers of raw epidermis. It was very sharp, and the skin on his thumb split. Just the first few layers of epidermis. The rough, raw, hormone-fueled anger he'd felt in high school when Pete Garrison had pushed him down, the shame he'd felt as others had laughed, the horror that Gene Smith had seen it all, the vow to get even. His left hand tightened around the knife, and every person that slipped into his mind was nothing but slow mannequins made of vulnerable points to kill. He gasped and dropped the knife. Heather had been right. It was rage, but why did she give him that? Was he meant to shorten his own life expectancy? The realization hit him and he stared, slack-jawed, at the wall as the memories returned. We are not that dissimilar. We're just going about our paths in a different way. Was she on his side? Was she working against the Legion in her own covert way? Why hadn't she told him? He had to believe the Legion had constant surveillance on them, especially since he proved himself not to be trusted. She had to be subtle, and the only hope he could stop being pardon me. She had to be subtle, and only hope he could stop being self-absorbed for a moment to get her meaning. Holy shit. He looked at the knife and wondered what he was supposed to do with it. Cut himself? How deep? When? There was a knock at the door, and a house orange Legion entered, carrying a tray with a teapot on it. Each of the contestants gets a final beverage, he said cheerily. The Red Granny herself sent this with her compliments. Marco accepted the tray mutely, and the Legion wished him luck and left the room. He put the tray on the floor and looked for a note. There was nothing. He poured himself a cup of tea and inhaled the fragrance. Jasmine, an excellent blend, and one that had always inspired him. He took a sip and became immediately intoxicated with a creative rush. The desire to paint, to draw, to write had never been stronger. Why was she doing this? Why was she trying to confuse him? Marco shook his head. The door opened. Another Legion was there, saying it was time. If she was screwing with him, he'd die. That was just a given. If she weren't, he'd probably still die for sure. He needed to hold on to whatever hope he could. So he gulped the tea and dropped the mug to shatter on the floor. Then he took the knife and ran it quickly across his palm, too fast to worry about the consequences. He sheathed the knife and slid the bloody hand into his bulky gloves. He took his staff and approached the alien, it taking every ounce of willpower not to bash in its head. Blood roared in his ears. It was time. Being single-minded was liberating. Marco felt none of his usual second-guessing or wondering if he left his computer on. There was no listening to his own panicked breathing or wondering which way he should go. The rage was deep within him. After a moment, he realized this was not rage brought about by his own memory. It was stronger, more primal, caused by the betrayal of someone close and the loss of family and love. A small part of him wondered if it was Heather's, but he barely acknowledged it, no matter where it came from. It was his now. He came out onto the lunar landscape running full tilt, a low forward-focused gait that barely lumbered, taking only a moment to get his bearings within the bulky suit. He made for a rocky hill that offered shadows he could hide in. From there, he could plan. Something nagged him, but he ignored it utterly. He reached the hill quickly. He hadn't seen any other contestants. The enraged mind does not think defensively. He hadn't considered someone else maybe waiting in the shadows for him. The suited person leapt out at him, a crossbow raised, and Marco dropped to his knees and pushed off with his feet, propelling himself forward like a low-flying bullet. The shot must have gone over him, but it didn't matter. He hit the person in the belly with his massive helmet and knocked them down. He reached over his shoulder and slid the Red Granny staff off of his back and came down with the butt of it, smashing the person's helmet inward. He didn't even register the shocked, bloody look. He just left the body to finish dying. That was for my family, he found himself thinking. 3 left. He took a moment to get his bearings. He saw no other opponents anywhere around him, not in the shadows, not in the hills. He ran his tongue over his teeth, tasting the sweet tea still, and realized he still held the staff. Like a big pencil. Billions of people were watching him. Everyone on the moon, nearly everyone on Earth, certainly everyone who was fans of the alien culture. The alien culture. The culture that took delight in watching the barbaric humans fight to the death. The moon dust was thick and easier grain to push around than sand. Marco had always enjoyed stories of the great artists on the beaches, during before the tide came in to destroy their masterpieces. So he took the staff and dragged it behind him, running into the light again. The sun glinting in the black sky sparked another memory, but the two warring emotions of must create and must destroy were too loud in his head, fighting for control. He saw two bodies flailing at each other in the distance. He ignored them, continuing to draw, incorporating his large footsteps into the drawing, thinking, "Woolly, woolly," as his feet landed, making little puffs. The world must think I'm mad. He was nearly done. He glanced up and saw a body running towards him. The hot bile of rage rose in his throat again, and he jumped lightly out of his drawing so the resulting bloodshed wouldn't mar it. The body looked vaguely feminine in a Legion-created suit. It ploughed into him, and he took care to make sure they fell away from the drawing. He tried to throw the body off, but she had a death grip on his suit, and he saw with growing alarm that she had knives on her left glove. He couldn't reach the staff. He dropped it by the artwork. He took her scrabbling left hand in his, squeezing tightly to hurt himself as much as her, and pulled the hand off. Her little knives hadn't punctured his suit yet, and he bellowed in his helmet, encouraging the rage to continue. She turned her wild eyes on him, and in a moment of clarity he recognized her. Penelope, in a Legion suit, attacking him with murderous rage. Oh no, not Penelope. He let her go, jumping backwards, trying to get out of her range to keep her from attacking him, loath to attack her back. Her face contorted behind her mask, and she screamed, silently, running towards him again. Unlike Marco, who tried to balance the two opposite urges within him, something had given Penelope only rage, and she leapt at him. He dodged her, and she fell into the moon dust. "Please, Penelope, knowledge, don't do this, please," he said the mantra to himself, chanting at her, trying as much to calm his own manufactured killing urges to try to get through to her. But he forgot where they were. He forgot that they weren't alone. He forgot that while he was willing to spare Penelope, his ex-lover, knowledge of his will, no one else on the battleground was. The body hit her from above. Another Legion suit, similarly made, double knives in the fists, puncturing her suit at the collarbone, slicing upwards towards the neck, and it was over. Knowledge of his will crumpled without a fight, the escaping air in her suit making little white puffs in the vacuum. The attacker didn't even have a chance to pull the knives out before Marco was on him. The staff was back in his hands, and he used it with brutal efficiency. There was no grace, no beauty. This was not a use the Legion would be impressed with. It was over quickly, too. The helmet bashed in, and the face of spiritual awakening stunned and bloody. 30 seconds later, and all you could see to identify him was the 12 on the side of his neck. Marco wheezed, sobbing, his voice loud and pitiful in his helmet. Somewhere, he remembered, Seven had told him that every season of the most dangerous game had one capital punishment trial. No glory here. The winner got to face the champion and go free if he won. But everyone seemed to be artificially pumped full of rage. The next realization was ice cold down his back. Heather. She's our handicap. Would she kill me? Have I imagined this alliance? If this battle were like the others, there would be one person left, or two if Heather didn't count. He saw her about 50 meters away, dispatching the final contestant. The remove your opponent's helmet trick had proved to be a popular move. She had done it again. Her victim lying in the vacuum, his 10 seconds to die seeming to be a very long time. Marco didn't recognize him. He gripped the staff tighter, feeling the blood squelch in his glove. The rage crested again, and Marco took a couple of steps towards her. He paused, though. Maybe Heather had a plan. Maybe there was a way out. Maybe they'd be picked up by a shuttle and be whisked away. There was... Where? There was no other moon colony. A rogue shuttle would never be allowed into Earth's atmosphere. They were stuck there, bald and naked, and in their final minutes. He turned back to his art, knowing that the world was indeed watching. He'd almost finished it, To him it looked awkward and tilted, impossible to pass out what he had created, but he knew the aerial cameras, unless the billions of eyes watching, could see it perfectly. He put the finishing touches on it, trusting her to give him room. He added some embellishments here and there to add to the shock value and stepped away. If he had done his work correctly, it would convey what he needed it to. The rage still brewed. He had no idea where to point it. He couldn't attack Heather. He was fighting to the death out here, but he wasn't stupid. The red granny walked towards him, pumping her arms, building up speed. Marco paused, unaware, but the rage blinded his fear, so he ran for her, the roar in his ears drowning out his primal scream. She didn't resist him. Later he realized he was nothing but a ball of rage, something a focused martial artist like her would have had no problem dealing with. She could have grabbed him, thrown him, dumped him down a crater, but she skidded to a stop and opened her arms to him, letting him overpower her. He knocked her down and came down with a knife the way Spiritual Awakening had done to Penelope. His Penelope, and cut easily through her reinforced suit. Behind her mask, her eyes flew open as the rage he was feeling entered her too, but it was too little, too late. She grasped his sleeve weakly and then closed her eyes at last. The area was already lit well with arena lights and the weak sun overhead, but Marco had to shield his eyes against the applause as the crowd stood as one and flicked their lights at him. He stared down at Heather's corpse, and then Knowledge's. The rage finally began to dissipate, and his knees buckled as grief and exhaustion overtook him. The Alcoholics Guild was pretty efficient for an underground group run by drunks. The bartender, Defects, was among the people who fetched him, sobbing, from the arena. He'd marked over his tattoo with makeup and wore his messy brown hair in a tight ponytail. Marco was to have gone straight for a physician's checkup and then to the Legion for an official pardon, but in the chaos the British man had managed to disguise Marco as a most dangerous grit game groupie, and they slipped away. "I'm going to want to know about that little picture you drew," Defects said as they hit the ride-based tunnels. What Marco thought would be claustrophobic turned out to be comforting and close. "Did it come out all right?" Marco asked. Defect stopped in the tunnel in front of a door and pulled out some keys. "It was beautiful, beautiful. Conveyed everything you needed, I think. I'll be interested to watch what happens to their exports." He opened the door into a small, windowless apartment filled with grow lights and plants. "Home sweet home for now. You take the couch." Marco went and collapsed, unsure his legs could hold him anymore. Defects flicked on the vid screen and caught the colour commentary. Every station was covering the game, including the mystery new champion, his disappearance, the Red Granny's death, and the drawing in the moondust. Marco saw it from the sky and actually became impressed with his own work, despite the raw exhaustion that overwhelmed him. A human-headed sheep was wrapped in the tentacles of a Legion, which tried to force it into clothing. The sheep was bleating free will, while the Legion shouted, "Conform for peace." "Do you think they got it?" Marco asked. Beg pardon. "Do you think they got it?" Marco asked. "If they didn't get it, she'll have died for nothing. They both..." "Well, I think so," Defect said, fetching a first aid kit. "You're a former patron of Legion. Everyone knows you'll have inside knowledge." Defects began bandaging his cut hand. I don't know. This is unprecedented. The Legion don't fight like we do. You've figured that much out. They may come at you through..." Wrong character, sorry. Defects began bandaging his cut hand. "I don't know. This is unprecedented. The Legion don't fight like we do. You figured that much out already. They may come at you through your agent or try to control you by getting clothing or food or even books into your hands. You may have saved Earth from their control, but Ride Base is going to be even more dangerous now." Marco rubbed his face and sighed. "I'm so sorry about knowledge. I tried to stop her." Defect shrugged slightly. "We knew it was going to happen. They were caught soon after you. I got away and had to keep the plan going. Once the Legion got them into those rage suits, they were lost. The Red Granny came at me with the instructions on what to do after you won the battle. Defects put away the first aid supplies and opened a bottle of red wine. Why didn't she just do all this herself? She's the most famous woman on the moon, or she was. Marco swallowed the wine, trying to forget the feeling of sinking the knife deep into his friend. That's it. She was too public. She was with Legion nearly all the time. She also wasn't an artist. She needed someone to make a vital statement when the whole world was watching. Also, Marco. She was old. She couldn't fight much longer. She needed an heir of sorts. Why didn't she just tell me? You have to come about your understanding of the Legion yourself. Even people who know about the artist mapping, for example, think that when they experience it, it'll be different. You can explain away anything. We need you to fully understand, to be angry enough to fight with your only ally. How long had you been working with her? A couple of months. She approached us after the aliens got their embargo lifted, but we usually only talk via notes. No electronic or human contact. I didn't give her enough credit. She was so strong. Marco shook his head. Oh God, I need sleep. Take it. Should be safe here for a few days anyway. The Guild will do what we can to protect you. Thank you, Defect. Thank you, Marco. You've dealt the first blow in the strangest war Earth has ever fought. There's more to do. I've got the final message from the Red Granny to publish. The Guild needs a new leader now that knowledge and spiritual awakenings are dead. We could look into smuggling you off the moon in a week or two, but we could use you in the battle in the coming months. What do you think? Want to throw in with terrorists? Marco knew his answer, but he was too tired to say it. He closed his eyes and thought of Heather, the Red Granny, who had fought in her early life for freedom, and then again in her later life. Braver than he had ever been. It would be difficult to avoid the Legion. Attempts at spiking his food with compliance or wrapping a scarf of dedication around his neck were sure to come soon. It would also be difficult to get the positive effects of the Legion items, as they had proven ironically necessary in his arena battle. His agent would be frantic to find him her little cash cow, especially as his books and art would now likely sell back home, both the Legion Enchanted work and his earlier work. While that provided him a rueful smile, he thought about the more important consideration: liberating Ride Lunar Base and making sure Heather and Knowledge hadn't died for a self-absorbed artist. I am a peacekeeper, and I will do what needs to be done to make the world a better place. As the world discussed the mark he had left on the moon, even as Legion groundskeepers erased it like the tide, Marco allowed himself to drift off to sleep. Tomorrow, he would have a lot of work to do. And that's our story.
It's a really powerful ending, actually.
It really, really is.
It is kind of a strange, lumpy story in spots, and I think Mur admits it herself as well, but why don't we take a little bit of a break, let everybody get a stretch and a drink of water and stuff, and then we'll come back for some chat and some shenanigans. How's that sound?
You mean shenanitapas?
No. We'll be right back, folks.
Okay, Compost Witch, I formally cede the floor. I think Dim Shenanigans is absolutely the best possible title for this.
We're just gonna run through dishes at this point.
We had a couple of folks come in late. Firstly, hello. Secondly, I'm really sorry. That was basically the worst possible episode to come in late through. Let me explain a little bit about what we do. We do serialized fiction here as the core of the show. We have like a monologue at the front, which is always a little standalone piece, which serves two purposes. The first is for you to get comfortable and get ready, and the second is to see how many times I can lose my shit laughing in a 10-minute period. The standing record set tonight is 35. No, is it 39 or something?
Isn't it? Oh, is it? Did it come down?
Currently listed as 0.
Oh, all right. Still gotta fix that thing.
Then we do a piece of fiction, and in the past we've done creepypasta stories and a full-length novel, and this is a novella called Marco and the Red Granny by the amazing Mel Lafferty. And this was the finale for Marco and the Red Granny, which means it's all payoff, and it made absolutely no sense if you hadn't listened to the previous one, so I'm really sorry about that.
So we're going to put a link in the chat so you can go and catch up on the old episodes if you'd like. But we thought we'd take a couple minutes to talk about the story before we moved on to shenanigans.
The thing I really like about this, because I was researching the stream show notes earlier today, is kind of twofold. Firstly, I really like that it is ambiguous all the way down. That, yes, the Legion do awful, awful things.
But it's
we don't know if it...
it's a very... I was just going to say it's a very topical question about creativity and freedom and safety and, one of those questions we talk about a lot in contemporary society.
The idea of patronage. This book was written in 2010. This book is so old. Marguerite and I are credited in here separately. Because we were not together at this point.
Yeah, I think that book was one of the very first Kickstarters I ever supported. I think before Kickstarter was a verb as opposed to a noun. Yes, exactly.
And the field has very much changed in that time. I mean, their Patreon literally does what the Legion do, just with less stabbing.
And mind control. We hope.
I don't know. I've seen how many Bandcamp releases Scary Pockets put out.
Let's not get into that.
Obscure yet topical.
Hey, Haggis and Dragons, how you doing, folks?
But no, I really like this. It's very dark and it's very...
What I like a lot about Mer's writing is she does a lot with contrast, in that what you start with is absolutely not what you take away from it or even where you end. She does a very good job of showing you highs and lows and how life incorporates both, and that they can change very quickly.
And Beastrogen makes a really good point that if there is an issue here is the presentation of alcoholism. If you spend time with an alcoholic who's still drinking, it's... Yeah. And that is an absolutely legit
I think
criticism.
that's completely valid. I think using the description alcoholism also doesn't necessarily... I mean, the AA system matches the kind of intent of the organization, the idea that you go through a transformative experience and you test yourself against it. But I don't think that necessarily has as much to do with alcohol specifically. Maybe, I mean, this was written a while ago, so maybe it was a convenient shorthand. And yeah, it's an older story. People change and evolve and improve in their approach. I really like the universe, the idea. I mean, nobody ever says the full name of it out loud, but the fact that there is Sally Ride Base makes me very, very happy as a child of the 80s.
Me too.
The idea that we do learn to cohabitate peacefully with an alien race, and yet human nature is still human nature. There are still haves and have-nots, and there's lots going on in there.
Oh yeah, and I mean, also one very, very important thing which really cannot be stated enough times: it's okay to not like stuff.
Yeah, totally.
If this didn't work for you, that's fine.
100% okay.
The Alcoholics Guild strikes me as something which is crying out for exploration.
Yep. Substance abuse in art is also a very long-standing thing. Societal exploitation in art.
And also, which society is doing the exploiting? Because
Yeah.
the idea of the idea that's kind of penciled in here, of the alcoholic skill being the last redoubt of human free will and being a self-destructive redoubt of human free will.
I mean, it almost proves the Legion's point, but at the same time, the Legion know that the way to exploit a culture is to co-opt its arts,
Yeah.
which is a very powerful message. Not at all topical.
One of the things I talk about very briefly in the show notes, because it's a Twitter thread. It's not, I can't really go full essay. Although I could. One of the movies this reminded me of an awful lot was there's a 2001 Jet Li movie called Hero, which has a very... it's worth digging into for two reasons. Firstly, it is unbelievably beautiful. It's just a heart-stoppingly pretty movie. And it's a clash between three groups with him at the center of it. And part of the climax is he stops a war by drawing an ideogram. And there's a lot of discussion about whether it's intensely nationalistic or whether it's patriotic and how you divide the line between those two. But the idea of Marco not so much starting a war, but screaming for help from the surface of the moon by drawing a satirical cartoon.
Yeah.
And especially after the last 4 years where...
Just stop there, especially after the last 4 years. Yeah. Exactly.
There's a lot of really interesting stuff to dig into that, which is a really roundabout way of saying this book is 10 years old, and I may politely suggest to her that she take a look at maybe take another run at this universe, because there's other stuff to do here. And I mean, obviously, writers write what they have to go for, but this feels like something I would not be at all surprised to see her turn back to.
There's plenty of other stories I think that could be told here. I mean, you could take a lot of the approach that modern television is taking with not so much remakes as reimaginings of, okay, well, the same amount of time has passed in the fictional world as it has in the real world. And what does Ride Base look like 10 years after Marco's drawing?
Yeah. Exactly. It's so interesting to see that that's starting to become one of the defaults for TV. I mean, one of the things we're really enjoying at the moment is the Queen Latifah fronted The Equalizer. Which is absolutely the exact same show as the Iwa Wiwa fronted one from 30 years ago. But,
in premise only.
But...
in premise only. I'm sorry. It's not a remake.
You swap out this polite, urbane, just fucking furious, upper-class white guy for Queen Latifah, and it becomes an entirely different show.
Yeah, an entirely different show.
And it's fascinating to see how art and meaning can evolve from that. And what Margot does here at the end is throw a rock into a pond. I'd love to revisit this universe 10 years later and see what the ripples have caused.
See where the ripples are. Yeah, exactly. So more of that in the show notes.
Yes, lots of movie recommendations this week. This put me in mind of a lot of things.
So shall we do some shenanigans?
Some dim shenanigans?
Shall we do some No.
It's not mine. It's not Shenanitapas.
Really? Okay. Chat's just gonna, shall we shenanigans? Oh, shenanigans. Shenapus. Oh, shenapus is a fun word. I do enjoy that. That's lots of fun. I don't think I opened all of these for you. Apologies.
You didn't actually open any of them for me. It's okay.
It's okay. You can work for it. It's Tumblr. So.
Just jive for it.
Okay, vamp.
Shake
all right,
it.
fine.
Uh-huh.
Do the thing. All right, so we are going to do an assortment of fun shenanigans. And here they all are. There we go. Should I vamp a little bit more?
Probably. The last one is being recalcitrant. Here we go.
Well, I can tell you about our special, I can tell you about our special guest next week while you're loading.
We have a
everything
special
up.
guest next week, folks.
We do. Next.
Tell me the other thing we're doing next week too.
What's the other thing we're doing next week? Oh yeah. Okay. So since we finished Mark on the Red Granny, and because Shalamalana Ding Dong. Oh, God. And we haven't quite lined up what we're going to be reading next, and it might be another Ursula book. We'll see. We're not going to have any fiction next week. We have a special guest. We're going to have S.V. Divya. Her debut novel is called Machine Hood.
And it's so freaking
And
good.
it's really good. And Divya also wrote the novella Runtime. I'm not sure if you read it, but it's about...
It's ultramarathons, isn't it?
It's
En masse.
ultramarathons in a near future, almost technological singularity. We're coming right up to it sort of situation.
Well, thank you, Silver. Yes, while we're vamping, it is worth mentioning that I do have a Ko-fi.
That's
so
very
if
sweet.
you like the show tonight, and you could, and obviously you can afford it,
Yeah.
if you
Only
buy
if
me
you
a
can
coffee,
afford
that would
it.
be great. The link
Yes.
will be in the show notes.
We'll put the link in the show notes. So since we're not going to do any fiction next week, we're going to do a nice long interview with Divya and talk about her book. So we need a nice long shenanigan, singular. And I do hear that Dream Avatar just released a Valentine's Day update. So I think that's what next week is going to be. I think
Going on a date
Alistair's
with
going to
Tim.
Alistair's going to have a long conversation with Tim after our interview.
Timothy Alexander Stoker.
Exactly. Exactly. Perhaps they'll find their kayak. Wouldn't that
Maybe.
be lovely?
Maybe.
Maybe they will, in fact, find their kayak.
Should we do shenanigans?
You ready for shenanigans? All right, hold on. Nobody wants to watch me doing shenanigans. It's all about
Yes,
you.
they do.
Well, no.
Okay.
David.
This is David.
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 David Abbott.
David aboard! Anyway, move on.
This is from the never-ending quest for more trivia about words. Peter, finally a moment's peace, here in the space of my own God. Elias, surprise. Peter, how did you find your way into the lonely? Elias, if only you had the ability to coerce answers. Peter, how do you plan on finding your way out of the lonely? Elias briefly considers the fact of having all his original ribs, and in fact his entire original body, in the Panopticon to use as a physical actor. Elias. Spite.
The secret power.
This is from I Can See You, spelled E-Y-E. After Elias arrives late on their date business meeting. Peter, oh, there's nothing like being ignored. But why are you late? You're usually very punctual. Elias, apologies, I got distracted. Peter, what were you watching this time? Elias, myself, in the mirror. Peter, for 2 hours. Elias. Elias. Yes.
What a vain little man he is.
Vain little man.
Vain little man.
This also is from I Can See You. I believe there may be several from them. Elias is that kind of person who orders at Starbucks a Starbucks venti cup full of espresso shots. Peter is that kind of person who orders caramel frappuccino with extra sugar.
Guess
Hey,
what Alistair's
stop
drink
it.
is at
Stop
Starbucks?
it. The hashtags for this are great too. They are, obviously, Peter would never order it himself because talking with strangers and telling them his name sounds like a nightmare.
That's what the phone app is for.
TMA shitpost, Elias Butchard, Peter Lucas, Lonely Eyes, headcanon that Peter likes sweet things,
course he
Lonely
does.
Eyes, my post. Yeah.
Totally like sweet things. Like cookies.
Hey now. Hey now. Hey now.
You resemble that remark.
I just now, then, now.
Hey, sweetie, are you going to make me cookies this weekend?
Yes, I am.
Thank you.
Okay.
I love you.
I love you too. This again is another from I Can See You. Peter seeing Jonah as Elias for the first time and staring in disbelief. Elias is in a monologue. Ha! I bet even he must be appreciating how handsome and hot my new body is. Peter's in a monologue. Wow, this body is even smaller than the last one. How does he even fit his ego in there? I love that one.
It's my favorite joke about the John Bon Jovi videos for the Blaze of Glory album.
Blaze of Glory!
Yes, thank you. That the true reason they filmed them... Hang on a second. That the true reason they filmed that video in the Grand Canyon is it's the only place they could fit John Bon Jovi's ego.
He's seen a million faces, and he's rocked them all.
Oh, God.
He's
Thank you so much, Hester. Say again?
He's a cowboy. On a steel horse, he rides.
I'm wanted! Dead or alive! Okay, now they're going to totally censor the stream, so read your other shenanigan now, please.
Moving on. This is another return to the never-ending quest for more trivia about words. Nathaniel Lucas. Peter, going forward, you'll be the Lucas's point of contact with the head of the Magnus Institute. Nathaniel, like every Lucas before you, you're going to find him very... Peter, attractive? Yes. Nathaniel. I was going to say annoying. Peter. Nathaniel. Peter, let's not speak to each other for at least 20 years or until you die. Nathaniel, I was about to suggest the same thing.
What is that voice for Nathaniel?
What, this one?
Yes, that one.
It's halfway between wizard trapped in a cave for many millennia and badly dubbed Kung Fu master.
Shall we move ever so swiftly on?
I think that would be wise.
Excellent.
Yeah, it is in fact a Trexel David hybrid voice, because you
David?
have the slightly high-pitched pain thing from David, and Trexel's very pronounced and somewhat melodramatic pronunciation.
David.
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 David. He still does it, folks. He still does it. He still wanders around the house going, David! David aboard!
There's some very good hashtags on this one too. Including, should I say I'm back on my bullshit if I never left? I possibly wanted a t-shirt.
Yes, I think, how can I be back on my bullshit if I never left? Shitpost, are you in the chat? Scroll quickly. No! Oh yes, they are! Excellent, please make a note. That's a very good one, thank you. Oh, thank you so much, Ocean. Really? You like the shenanigans better when you can see both of us? So that I can give him crap.
I heard all of that.
I don't think you heard any of that.
I heard all of that.
No, you didn't.
We're having a conversation now, literally.
David!
David.
David!
David.
David aboard! Bring some more shenanigans!
Oh, I'm out of them. We're shenanigans out.
I thought there was one more.
Hold on. It is a shocking final twist.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Hold on, I'm not sure I've done stuck. We've done mirror, we've done coffee, we've done family business, we've done ego. What's stuck?
Do stuck.
Oh no, stuck was the finally a moment's peace here in the space of my own.
Okay,
God.
so he's stuck.
Yes.
Oh. You have one, Kiwi Jelly? Well, because we're kind of out of them now. I've, like, exhausted... David, we need to make a lonely planet. Bring me the final Shenanalama Banana. Okay, wow. Scroll up and read the thing. Scroll up and read the thing. What thing am I reading? I don't see a thing that I wrote. Alright, hold on, hang on. The statistic that everyone's got one Lucas voice is a mistake, Alistair Stewart, who has 600 Lucases in a trench coat, is an outlier and should not be counted. Okay, hold on a second. Let me copy this over into your document, babe, so you can see it.
It's nothing short of miraculous that we have yet to get to, whichever Lucas is the belligerent 1980s Yorkshire mining pit boss.
Really?
There was this thing, and I swear this is one, 2 or 3 bits of pop culture.
Why can I not edit this document? Oh.
I'm fairly certain I hallucinated and no one else did during the early 1990s. And it was a game show where comedians would play their favourite figure from Victorian history, pitching to be let into the afterlife. And
Quick vamp.
it was often terrible, but the guy who played Genghis Khan and played him as a bolshy Yorkshire coal miner was fucking brilliant. Because everybody else's summation was kind of, oh, well, if you look at this, then obviously I was like this and everything was fine. This guy steps up, and he's in full robes, full kind of axe and helmet and everything. Just looks around and goes, "Vote for me, or you're dead." Throws his arms wide, gets a standing ovation, walks into heaven.
Do you have access to Twitter or anything so I can DM
I have
you?
access to. I can do the goddamn Twitters. Yeah.
You can do the goddamn Twitters?
I just look. See, I'm on the Twitters now.
I'm sending you something on the goddamn Twitters.
You should probably send it to yourself because it's signed on as you over here.
Well, good. I just sent it to myself because that's not weird. Oh, speaking of awesome things that got sent to yourself, hang on. This is another thing that we saw on Tumblr. It's a piece of fan art. I need to... I'm not going to put it on the stream because it's fan art of Alistair, which, is one of the first times this has happened, which is amazing.
Really cool.
And I'm going to put it in the chat because it makes me super happy. There you go.
Literally, the first thing I see up here is a tweet from the lovely Imperio. Me watching a horror game on YouTube, making the screen smaller. "You can't hurt me now, fearful pixels." I do the same thing.
Okay.
Right.
Do you have it now?
If you send it to me.
I sent it to me because I thought you were logged in as you.
Okay.
Good. I'm sorry. This has become terribly confusing because I can't.
Who's on first? You sent me something from 36 seconds ago.
Yes. It starts with the statistic.
Yes.
Okay. Have a cup of tea and clear your throat and read that into the microphone, please.
Okay.
Are you out of tea?
I'm fine.
No.
I have what there.
Oh, I should mention I had a strange dream last night. Hang on. Here's another one, I think. Kiwi, is this something you want us to read? We're okay, I guess. Yes, please. Okay, I have another one. I'm DMing it to you, which is actually DMing it to me. This is getting very confusing.
Cool, I have them both.
All right, do the thing.
The statistic that everyone's got one Lucas voice is a mistake. Alistair Stewart, who is 600 Lucases in a trench coat, is an outlier and should not be counted. And, I should mention I had a strange dream last night where the Tundra was a ship in a bottle which contained the Lonely, and Elias carried it around with him, and every time Peter felt awkward, he went in the bottle like a reverse genie. Yeah, he would absolutely do that. I think that's great.
Yeah. Living space.
Peter, I have to go.
No, he wouldn't even say anything. It would just be shoomp. There would be a sound effect, and that would be it. Oh, now I'm seeing it all animated style. It would just be shoomp.
Just like a pizza-shaped cloud of dust.
Like a hermit crab, only it's a ship in a bottle. Hey, what was I supposed to write again? How can I be back on my bullshit if I never left?
Yes.
A reverse genie. I like that.
He just makes the shoot noise with his mouth. Yes, he
does. Yes, he does. Or instead of actually throwing a smoke bomb, he just goes, smoke bomb! Kind of like, that's kind of a spoiler for WandaVision, so I don't want to spoil that. But something similar on WandaVision happened, and it was funny.
Yes.
Pocket sand. Take your time, shitpost. It could be whenever you like it. What are 3 things that are precious to you? Okay, I'm going to take them away. Yeah, okay, you want to read that one?
What are the 3 things that are precious to you? Okay, I'm going to take them away. See, that always put me in mind of the line from Ghostbusters 2, which is one of the best line deliveries Harold Ramis ever did, which is, good. Now let's see what happens when we take the puppy away.
Exactly. We're doing shenanigans live. What? Yeah, exactly. But I think what we should do now is we should probably wrap up because it's getting late.
I think we perhaps should, yes.
So, why don't you remind folks, as I change the camera back to just him, where we're going to be next?
We have one more, which is from Eldritch. Elias orders for Peter at restaurants and is totally the "my husband didn't order pickles." It's better that way, because otherwise Peter picks the pickles off and eats the cook into the lonely.
Don't yeek the cook into the lonely. True story. I once had... Okay, this is how old I am. Wow, I gotta think about if I want to say this. I once played a game of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles where I played a raven who did not like pickles, and so whenever people would go on the fast food run, I would always yell at them, "No pickles." And at one point, they just got so fed up that they told me the restaurant was out of no pickles. And my character bought it.
You're going to make me tell the orange jam story, aren't you?
Oh, yes. This is so cute. Okay. Tell the orange
We're doing
jam
this,
story.
I'm signing off. So I'm 10, and my mum brings me something for supper. I'm in bed, and she brings me like a cup of tea, because that's what you give a child in bed at night, caffeine, and a marmalade sandwich, because obviously sugar is the key to a restful night's sleep.
What is a marmalade sandwich?
It's a sandwich, it's bread with marmalade in it.
Isn't that just toast?
Yes. Yeah.
How come there's not even any peanut butter in it?
I didn't believe in peanut butter, it was full of fat.
Heathen!
So, I have this, and I'm like, I like jam, I'm fond of jam, but I have this, and it doesn't taste very nice. And, you know, it's a sandwich, I'm going to be in the room for 8 hours, I figure it'll get taken down. So it does. And the next morning, in one of the rare moments of child dissent that occurred during my childhood, I go, Mum, could I maybe not have that in my sandwich tonight? So, oh, did you not like it?
Most British thing ever. Mummy, could I maybe please not?
Did you not like the marmalade? No, I didn't. Not very much. Okay. A few nights pass. Cup of tea. Sandwich.
Wait, how old are you?
About 10.
But you're allowed to have tea.
I had coffee around the same time.
What?
Welcome to my brain. It maybe doesn't work.
We didn't have time to unpack all that. So what are you going with your story?
So, not often, just on the weekends. Oh, God. Anyway, yeah, so I take a bite and I go, oh, what the hell is this? Open it, and again, it's marmalade. And I actually go to my mum, who hasn't quite gone to bed at this point, and go, Mum, this is marmalade, and I said I didn't like it. And she gets this very, very funny look on her face, and just goes, it's not marmalade, it's orange jam. And I'm like, oh, cool, I like that. Go back to bed and finish it. 15 years later, I am not even kidding, 15 years later, I basically kick the door open and go, Mother!
Mother, I'm very cross with you.
There's no such thing as orange jam, is there? And she just looks at me. And the thing I will never forget is she knew instantly. She's just like... Obviously, she's like, the day has come. My reckoning is upon me. No, it was marmalade. Yeah, you've had me marmalade sandwiches for years. Yes, I did. Cool. Okay, thank you.
She has this amazing ability to no-sell him. It's so funny. Like, she's the one who told you shouldn't eat blue cheese before you go to bed?
Because it'll give
because
you
it will give you bad dreams?
Yep. No peanut butter because it was full of fat.
Well, it is, but, you know. America!
I lived on an island for 18 years and I think went swimming in the ocean twice. That being said, I did live on an island right near a nuclear power plant.
Right, so. Mr. Jen? Who begged a sandwich? Who got a sandwich when they went to bed? I got a drink of water and I liked it. Okay, that's enough of that. That is a common superstition about cheese. That is too. And peanut butter is a good kind of fat. It's American fat, which is not accurate. But you will pry my peanut butter from my cold dead hands.
Oh, so
wow,
yeah,
that went weird.
Yeah, I'm fine now.
Well, every decade has the thing that it's obsessed with. With the 80s, it was fats. With the 2000s, it was carbs. Now we're all obsessed with protein. So yeah, you know, give it time, it'll circle back around again.
This next decade it'll be cake. Yes.
Can we all be obsessed with cake, please? I would really like to be obsessed with cake. That sounds good.
So yeah, having now confirmed to you that you know my parents effortlessly wrapped me around their collective little fingers throughout my childhood, I think now is the best possible time to take my leave.
Why don't you tell folks where we'll be?
You can find us on Twitch at this channel on Sunday. When what?
Sorry.
What?
I've seen the calligraphy thing and it's fantastic.
When Marguerite will be continuing her investigations into just what the hell is going on with Napoleon, George Washington, the Pope raising an army.
It's not the Pope.
Maybe.
No, it was the Vatican teaming up with the English to take down the French. I don't know.
Yeah.
It got weird.
Basically, historical shit's going sideways on the Sunday stream between 10 and noon, and it's really good fun. And then return here next week when our special guest will be SB Divya, who will be talking about her amazing debut novel, Machine Hood. And I will be playing Dream Avatar and Dating Tim.
Apparently.
And we will also be talking about what will be coming next.
Yes, which we will maybe hopefully have a better clue about. Quick vamp. But we'll get your input as well. So if there is stuff out there that you would like to hear,
then let us know.
Yeah,
and we
hit us
will
up.
assist you in hearing it.
Right. Don't forget there'll be the stream show notes on Twitter.
In about 5 minutes. Maybe 10.
Maybe 10. You know, you need a cup of tea and all
Yeah.
that. And we will see all of you around, like on TikTok.
Yes, indeed.
Good night, everybody.
Right, have a good one, folks. See you later.